Give me a moment and let me see who. So who's at the door? You haven't heard from me. I'm new to this. But the question that Reverend Falcone was posing the last few days is about the passage. It's what they call the passage. You would call it the death experience or the transition. And I'm going to share with you how it was for me. Because it is different for everyone. When I left this earth, it was through a heart attack. Extreme pain that seemed to radiate throughout the body, and then all of a sudden it terminated at the heart. And as I moved through this, yes, many of you have read about near-death experiences, and they are different. They're different for all of you because they are triggered by your thoughts. Everything has to do with your thoughts. Whatever you're thinking at that moment becomes amplified. And for me, what was amplified was that not only that extreme pain, but that I would not be with my children and my wife any longer. And I carried that last thought through this passage. And there is another that wants to come in and share this, more of an older version, because that person is much, much older. But for me, that passage was not entirely in the dark. For me, it was experiencing, not the past. I did not experience those things that I had gone through. I experienced those things that I would miss. I was able to see the grandchildren. I was able to see my wife remarry. And I was able to see her passing as well. Everything shifts. It's different when you move from here into the afterlife. It's different for each of us. And it centers around what is foremost, what is in front of you, that powerful drive that you have. It centers around that. And my drive was family. Amount of time it took to move from here into the afterlife, I could not tell you, but the experience I can share with you. And when I did make that awareness, because you don't know that you have left this life, you don't know that until you wake up to it. Until then, it's like a dream. It's like another reality. And you experience all of that. But somewhere along the lines, I don't know where, I don't recall what it was like for myself, but you become aware that you're no longer alive on this earth, but that you are alive somewhere else. And I was not of this religion. I was not a spiritualist, as they call themselves. I was Catholic. And even in that, we knew that there was that afterlife. We called it heaven. And the heaven that you have, the spiritualists have it right. It's what you think it to be. And until you realize that you are no longer here, that what you are living is a different life altogether, it takes a while for you to come to that realization and to create something different. As it is there, it is here. You create with your thoughts. I dabbled in Eastern philosophy. When I made my transition, the information was available. This was during the 50s, by the way. I'm told I'm taking up too much time. So, are there any questions that you might have for me? Yes.
What motivated you to come to us today?
Question. Because no one asks too many questions like that. The passage, what is it like? Now, Mr. Davis shared some of that. Mr. Sweetenborg didn't. We've conversed. But there's not much information about that passage. What is it like? The Buddhists have experienced it. I shouldn't say the Buddhists, but that's all that I know is the Buddhists. For them, it's different. They're taught differently. They are prepared for that journey. Our religions do not teach us that. They do not help us with that. We are on our own with that. And if more of you who are here understand the role of that passage and the role you play, your experience may be much better. I must say, if you could close that, please. Thank you. Somebody's playing with their tires. I remember that sound. Yes, someone had a question.
Yes, hello, how are you? I have experienced a near-death experience when I was 14. Is that the same as passing over completely? Because
It's very
did
simple.
some,
It's
and
very
did
simple.
but they wouldn't let me do it.
No. You cannot stay until you have prepared the way. And the way we prepare it for ourselves is different from each person to the next. But one thing that you have to understand with these near-death experiences, they are orchestrated for your benefit. They are arranged, you could say, for your benefit, so that your passage from this life into the afterlife can be much smoother. Some people get lost in that passage, particularly those who are trying to escape pain, those who take their own lives. We like to say that they are condemned, but what condemns them is that they do not escape the pain that they are experiencing here. Because the pain is, they carry it with them. And if we can share something for those people who feel they must do that, if they could properly frame their thoughts, their passage could be much better than what it typically is. Because when they make their passages, they go into a hospital. And they are in that hospital until they are able to understand what it was that was creating all of that pain. So the near-death experience, yes, if you have experienced one, then when your time comes to make that journey, that is what will appear. And you will have a similar experience, not exactly like it, but that is what you will experience, something much more agreeable. Does that answer your question?
Kind of. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Are there any more? Okay, I'm going to let the old one come through. Yes, I am the old one, which is much better than what all of you call me. We teach our students how to die. And in our teachings for them, there is a long passage, a dark passage. It is like a tunnel with no light. We call it the endurance. But it is that transition point. We teach our students to focus the mind. And when the time comes for them to leave this world and enter the next world, they focus their minds. Your previous speaker had all of these distractions. And because of those distractions, he became lost in his passage. Our teachings is that you move through this dark place. And it is dark because your mind is focused. And when you arrive at the end of your passage, then all is revealed. It's something that is very simple, but very difficult to achieve. This one teaches you through the meditative processes to allow your thoughts to flow, to allow your distractions to flow. And when we prepare ourselves for the journey, we exit this world in between those thoughts. And we enter the next world. And again, entering the next world is going to be tied to your mind, how focused it is. Because eventually you begin to think of something else. And as your mind thinks of something else, it begins to create the world where you go. And because your awareness is such, you know where you are at. Are there any questions?
Well, many. On my way here, I was stressed with the thought of the cosmic egg and wondering if that would be explained. Can that be explained by you?
The cosmic egg represents the mystery of life. The reason the egg was chosen is because it requires something very simple, something very basic that many of you would not understand. And the authors have written that the cosmic egg merely requires heat for life to take place. That is an extremely simplified version of it. And it is only intended to placate your thoughts and your questions, because there is no answer to that. It is the mystery of life. What is it that defines life? It is the consciousness. And what is the consciousness? It is awareness. I apologize for being unable to answer your question with that.
I understand.
Do you?
I'm fine with that. I suspected that.
There are some mysteries that we cannot speak of because they can only be experienced. That's why they were called the mystery schools. Yes.
Does that follow you, what you experienced here when you were released from the body? Do all of your experiences come with you? And do you have any senses when you pass over? Do you still carry the feeling of your senses?
Yes. Your senses are all part of the mind.
What about the heart?
The heart is still part of the mind, as you understand it. You are referring to the energy centers, and those energy centers are part of the whole. Why you chose to separate them and to focus on them, we do not understand, but they are part of the whole. If we come back to your reference of the cosmic egg, I understand there is a visual device here. Using the analogy of the cosmic egg, you have this envelope, which would be the egg. And within the egg, you have your different energy centers, your different chakras. And it is all of them that create this outer shell, is a manner of speaking. And because they create this, all that occurs within these centers, what is that?
Sorry. It's gonna be going in a second.
All those centers that create that, everything that is experienced moves through those centers. And when you make your passage, I believe is the term, or journey, we called it the journey. You carry all of that with you because the body has a memory, but that memory goes into the earth to produce another body. That is why some of us have these memories of familiarity, because the body has its memory and the body goes back into the earth. And those memories are in the earth. Those are the physical things. And what you call the spiritual things, those experiences continue with you. And those experiences move through each of those energy centers. So yes, all of that goes with you. That is why we teach you how to release that which causes you to suffer. Because if you do not understand it, and if you do not let go of it, you carry it with you until, again, you understand it and you are able to let go of it. Suffering is something in the mind, or you could say suffering is something of the spirit. The only thing the body experiences are those things related to the body. And I don't know if you understand this because it is very, very deep, very esoteric teachings. But did that answer your question?
I understand. Thank you.
Does anyone else wish to speak?
I have a question, if you could help me understand. When the Reverend opened the door for you to come in my mind, I saw a white shadow of a body, a white image, and it walked towards me. And then right before I asked my question, it walked away. Could you help me understand what that might have been?
He said someone was at the door. Am I correct?
Yes, a white energy.
You saw what he saw. You saw what he saw. And when he got closer and began to enter, he would have disappeared from your sight because he was sharing another's sphere, another's egg. He entered this person's egg or shell.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anyone else wish to speak? I will allow our last guest So where is everyone today? It seems like every time I come back, there's fewer of you.
Oh,
And let me tell you about my passage. We use the term passage. And I made my transition, I made my passage while I was asleep during a dream. So I didn't know I had died until I realized this dream is awfully long. And for those of us who die in our sleep, we carry along with us everything that's tied up. Because what do our dreams do? Our dreams tell us about all this crap that we are going through, that we're picking up, collecting, handing out, and everything. Well, it's like going to a bazaar. And the reason we tell you to get your life straightened out while you're here, because it's much better over there, is because your passage is all about straightening out all that stuff. And until you get it straightened out, you really don't have that experience of being in the spirit realm. And that's what we all want, right? So that's the work. That's the work. That's why you have these dreams. They help you sort things out. Makes sense. Tell you messages because you don't listen very well. And it's not much different making your passage while in a dream. It's not much different. It's always going to be what you care for most. For the first gentleman, it was his family. For the ancient one, it was, that was what he expected. And he got what he expected. How often does that happen, huh? So your passage will be however you expect it to be. Now, those near-death experiences that many of us have orchestrated to kind of help guide you in everything, you're going to have that kind of expectation. And when you make your transition, that's what your experience is going to be. Because that's what you expect. Now, the ancient one, as you call him, kind of like that one. It's better than calling him Pops. I did that one time. Ooh. Looks could kill. But anyway, your passage is whatever you're concerned with most. And the body, while you're here, you are going to experience pain. Now, how intense that pain is depends on you. Because if you focus on that pain, and that pain is all that you focus on, yes, you're going to feel that pain when you get to the other side. That's why we have hospitals over there. Because a lot of you just don't get it. You know, Mr. Swedenborg had it right. Oh man, you don't want to get into a conversation with him? You know, one of those serious types. He and Mr. Franklin, I bet, would get along really good. But he was right. Get your affairs in order. And it's not your will or anything like that. It's get your mind in order. It's got nothing to do with priorities or anything. Those wrongs that you did to other people, especially the ones you did knowingly, they don't go away. You have to sort through all of that. You have to reconcile each one. Each one. And as you reconcile them, then your experience in the afterlife changes. Yes, it's much like your life is here. And the reason why it is much like that is because it's so much easier. After all, if you stepped out the door and into the Great Plains, how are you going to deal with that? You're going to panic. However, if it's familiar, everything is fine. And if you've got all this stuff going on in your life and it's, drudgery and everything, you carry your drudgery with you through the passage, and it's all you experience. The passage is your reconciliation. The passage is how you the passage is how you imagine it to be. It will be exactly as you expect it to be. And the funny thing is, you will never know it's coming. You will never know you're there. You will continue doing what you're doing here until you fix all that stuff, and that baggage, as you like to call it, is no longer there. But each one that is corrected, you move into, well, you would say the light. So we'll go with that. You move closer to the light. You ever get to the light? I don't know. I can't tell you that because I'm still getting closer to the light. I wish I'd brought my hat though. All right. Are there any questions from any of you? I want to thank you for allowing me to come back.
Thank you.
You've been wonderful.
Thank you.